This is Believe in Buckeyes. I'm Brian Browning with co-host here, Chindy Chekwa. We got a very special guest. We got the guest. For the week, getting ready for the game. We got our old head ball coach, Coach Jim Tressel, joining us here for Michigan Week. How you doing, Coach? What's going on?
Well, beat Jim, I'm doing good, but I'm not an old ball coach. I'm young.
Our old ball coach.
Okay.
Yeah. Our old.
All right.
Change that up.
Former, not old.
Yeah, got you.
Yeah, so we got the big week. And I remember coming in from Florida, learning about the rivalry, right? Because I didn't grow up in the rivalry. And I guess my first taste of it was redshirt in my freshman year. And then having to put, once the week started, walking into the locker room and having to put the wings on my practice helmet for the scout team. I'm curious because I'm not sure, when did that actually start? Like, what was it? Did that start with you, or was that a tradition that had been around for a while?
No, I think that one had been around for a little bit. I'm trying to remember when I was an assistant coach in 83, 84, 85. I think we did that. So I think that was pretty traditional. The scout team would come in and would tape their own. Did you have to tape your own on, or did they tape them for you?
Nah, tape it ourselves.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that was kind of a tradition, and but you knew practices were going to be shorter that week anyway, so you could spend a little time taping your helmet.
Yeah, now, Coach, obviously we had a lot of traditions that, when we played that we went over. We had the senior tackle. We brought in Jack Tatum. We marched with the band. Back then we used to always bring in Coach Earl Bruce, and he would give us a nice talking to about what that games mean to you. I guess wanted to kind of hit a little bit on some of those traditions, on which ones was there before you, and which ones that you felt was important to kind of keep around during your tenure at Ohio State and getting us ready for the game.
Well, I know when I was an assistant for Earl, we marched the Script, Ohio with the band on Thursday after practice. That was when we did it. And I always thought that was cool. Then when we got there, I thought, I want to get this week kicked off right. And that Script, Ohio, there's something about marching with that band that just, I don't know, it got you thinking immediately. So I didn't want to wait till Thursday. And then in terms of Coach Bruce coming in, I had listened to his passion for 3 years when I was his assistant, talk about that game. And I just thought, again, I want to start the week off. So if you recall, we would watch our previous game film Sunday afternoon. Then Coach Bruce would speak, and then we'd march Script, Ohio. And to me, that set the tone. And, so I thought that was important. The senior tackle, for years, I think it was on a Friday. And we decided to move it to Thursday just because, we were padded up. Normally we didn't dress with our pads and stuff for practice on Friday. And I just thought it was something. And prior to our time there, it was a public event. So they used to hold it at the stadium, and they'd get maybe 1,000 people to come watch senior tackle or whatever. And we decided we wanted to make that special just for our guys, for our seniors, for our underclassmen to speak on the seniors' behalf. And so those were kind of the traditions and the whys and the wherefores. We did it during our tenure.
Now, so because of that, because we did those things early in the week, the Michigan week to me felt long, right? Like everything, like you go through the season kind of goes by fast. And then that week, it seemed like everything slowed down and you kind of took in every single day leading up to the game. In terms of preparing the players in that type of environment to get ready for a game, one thing I just remember is that when the game came, I felt like I'd been waiting for this game for so long that I'd be so like my emotions and everything, I'd be like so jacked up for the game. And that first drive, I get so tired because I'm fighting after every play. Like
Right.
I'm scratching and clawing early on. In terms of just preparing the players from an emotional standpoint, making sure that they understand the importance of it, but also making sure that they're locked in into actually executing on the field. I'm just interested in, the coach's perspective on getting guys ready for that specific game.
We decided the first spring we got there in 2001 that we would watch one quarter of the Michigan game each Saturday during spring practice, just to begin the thinking, just to always have it in the back of you guys' minds. And then, if you recall, in spring and preseason, we would have one 5-minute period, maize and blue period. Mm-hmm. Just, that little subliminal, and then people ask all the time, well, did you practice for Michigan during the other weeks of the season? No, we were getting ready for those other teams. They're good too.
Right.
But because I think we had started so long ago talking about the game that you felt like you've been waiting for that game forever, right? Yeah. And we wanted you to, it's kind of like the class before lunch period. I mean, that class before lunch period lasts forever, it seems like. And we want you to be dying to go to lunch. We want you to be dying to go eat. And so, that was kind of by design. And there were times we worried that we didn't want to be too excited.
Yeah.
And in fact, you guys were there. Were you there in 2006?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What I worried about in 2006 was I thought everything was going good and we had a good team. They had a good team. It was 1 versus 2, all that. But then when Coach Schembechler passed away, I thought, oh, man, that's just going to take Michigan's emotion up a notch. And to me, that made the game take like forever till it got there because, that was emotional. Many of us, I had a chance to meet Coach Schembechler and idolized him and, all that. But that week, it felt like that game would never come. And then remember, we played at 3:30.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I'd rather play Michigan at noon. Wake up and let's go play.
Right. Now, obviously, Coach, he was, one of the most successful coaches against Michigan, obviously with a record standard at 9-1. So you was obviously always, for most likely, able to get the team together, go out there and take care of business. Obviously, the team currently, they haven't had that success. I guess, what would you say your advice is to Coach Day, to the team, for them to kind of get things back in order and get back to essentially, winning that game? Obviously, Michigan has some help. We could that's his own story. But how do we get them in the right mindset to kind of get ready for this weekend and kind of right that ship?
I've talked with Coach Day a lot about it over the last couple of years. And, I think probably the first thing we talked about was, never think about how's this game going to come out. Think about how am I going to play each play of this game? Because it's such an important game, you can get nervous about, well, am I going to win this game or am I not? Well, there's a lot of work to be done in between winning it or not. And so trying to stay focused on every situation. We talked a lot about, hey, if we get more takeaways than we have giveaways, we're going to win this game. Or if we can stop the run and we can run it, we're going to stop the game. And so, lists and lists of situations and constant plays and just focusing on the task at hand rather than on wondering if we're going to win the game. And, the one time we lost, and you guys weren't there yet, because you never lost against Michigan, did you?
No, we never lost. No, if our cleats hit the turf, we won that game, Coach.
Okay, all right. So, we lost in 2003, and I'm going to tell you why we lost. 2 reasons. One, we went into the game. If we win the game, we go back to the national championship. And we allowed ourselves to be thinking about going back to the national championship rather than the task at hand of winning each play of that game. And that was our fault as coaches that we didn't get the mind right. The other thing, and your buddy Nick Mangold told me this, he said, Coach, you made a mistake when you didn't take us to see the big house on Friday afternoon. We went up there and there was all kinds of construction around Chrysler Arena and around the campus, and bus drivers told us, if you want to go from the hotel to look at the stadium, it's going to be about a 4-hour round trip. And I thought, man, we've already been in a bus for 3 hours. Right. You're telling me it's going to be 2 hours in and out by the time, the construction, it's down to one lane, And so I made the silly decision not to go. Well, Nick told me the following March when we were in our meeting talking about what's it going to, what could we have done better? He was up front. He said, hey, you should never let us go. He said, I had never been to the big house. And when I got there on Saturday, I was like, wow, this isn't very nice. And he said, I kind of lost my edge. He said, but if I'd have seen that on Friday, I could have said, okay, this is what it is. Now I got to get my head back. But he said, I didn't feel like we had time. So, it still comes down to having your mind right going in and knowing it's going to be every single play that makes the difference and not wondering, are we going to win the game? And so I know Ryan worked hard at that last year. And really, I'm going to tell you this, Michigan was good last year. Yeah, I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah, they had a good team.
They probably were the best team in the country. They proved it. And we were 20 yards from beating them.
That's right.
So we did not play a poor game. We didn't play well enough and was that close. And I think it was because they did focus on, the task at hand and so forth. And so I feel confident, that they're very hungry, and there's some guys that came back for one reason. And that was because they don't want to leave here with no gold pants. And so I feel good about the makeup of the mentality, especially of the older guys. Now, you still got to go do it one play. And as we talked before we got on the air, in November, the great equalizer, is the weather.
The weather.
And you never know what the weather can do to the game. We'll have to see how it happens this week.
So every game is important, we mentioned, right? Every game, you're trying to win every single game, right? Is there any aspect of saving some stuff for that game, right? Or some plays, some offensive plays, some wrinkles, we have some stuff that we're just waiting for this game specifically because we feel like, this could be effective versus that team. Is there any of that during the season from your experience and from other coaches?
There's an evolution during the season that, you figure out what your guys can do, and then you figure out how you can improve, and then you self-scout, and you say, you know what, people are going to, when we line up in this formation, people are going to have our tendencies. So what if we do a tendency breaker? Or when we line up in this secondary look, they think we're coming and, whatever. So there's always an evolution. And so in essence, yes, you are saving some things, but you're saving some things based upon what you did leading up to the game. And you're going to take the next step. You're going to take the next, we're going to run a different something off of this look. But we didn't ever practice something in August and saved it for November.
Yeah.
But, you slowly progress on that.
Did you have the same, because the game for me was super emotional. I remember in the locker room before the game, I used to try to calm myself down because I needed to remember, what are we doing when they line up with the two tight ends? What are we doing? Because I had to be prepared for those runs and different things that I needed to react to. So I remember always trying to keep myself under a certain level of not getting too high because I was already there. From a coach's standpoint, what are the emotions from the coach's standpoint? Are you locked in, focused, and just thinking the game? Or is there some level of, juice that you have that you got to keep under wraps as well?
Well, I know when my first Ohio State Michigan game, I was an assistant coach, and I was no good to anyone through the first quarter and a half. I had never experienced that. I'd coached in a lot of games, but I was like, this is different. Mm-hmm. And then I kind of got my equilibrium back, and hopefully I helped. But so when I became the head coach, I had already had 3 games under my belt of playing against them. And I knew that, hey, one thing you've got to do is you've got to keep that concentration. You've got to, you're locked in, you got your game plan down and so forth, but you got to know they're going to do some different things too. So you can't just be all wired into one thing and count on that for sure happening. You've got to be at your best thinking about, okay, based on what we've been shown, what might they do? Based upon how you've been, if they find their tip to when you're playing man, and so they're going to get to their rubs or, whatever. I always felt going into that game you had, because there was so much film on you up to that point, that people were going to come with good plans. And so I just thought you really had to come in under control mentally. And plus, I think as a coach, you needed to show confidence because you knew your guys were juiced. Yeah. You knew they were like, it's senior day if it's at home. And those crazy seniors are out of their minds, going through there. And so I always thought we had to just show calm, even if we weren't totally calm inside. And just have fun with it. Because there's no more fun game to play in than that one.
Yeah, that's for sure. Yeah, because for me, Jim, like I was fired up for every game, right? I'm not gonna say I was more fired up for the Michigan game, but it's just a game I really did not want to lose, right? So you want to get to it, get in some contact, get into some groove of the game, and know that, like, we're here. Obviously, we're Ohio State. We could play with these guys. Get into the groove, get into the game, and everything would kind of work itself out. And obviously, it did for us, right? We was able to go out there and win every one. Coach, I wanted to kind of hit on something because, like you stated last year, how good the Michigan team was, right? And obviously, like you said, was that close to winning, and obviously it didn't go our way. This year, with all the guys coming back, with who has this one circle on the schedule, we know how much it means to the guys. We know how good the team was supposed to be before the season started, right? With all the talent and a lot of guys returning and transfer portal, things of that nature. I guess I wanted to kind of hit on your thoughts on a team that should be, ultra talented, right? But still have to kind of go out there week by week and figure out how to execute and play games and win games, and not so much sit and wait for another guy to make it, to know that they're capable of stepping in and making that play as well.
Well, and as you guys know, all of the guys got to know that if I'm in the lineup, I better deliver. If I'm not in the lineup, I better be ready to deliver, because you never know when that moment's going to get called. And I think just growing as you go throughout the course of the season, and knowing that every team that plays you, especially this year for Ohio State, what they start, number 2 in the nation or number 1 or something, yes, wherever they were up there. Well, everyone's going to play you 14 points better than they are on the film. And so you can't get lost in watching that film and say, oh, okay, I can cover that guy, or, we're going to run for 300 this game. Well, no, you're not looking at the same guys that are going to play you. And I think that's really a critical thing for us to know going into this game this weekend. Michigan's young. They're having a tough year. They haven't found the quarterback. But you know what? They're going to be a lot better than we've ever seen them. Yeah. And so we have to keep that in mind. And I think our guys this year had to think through that the whole season. Sometimes it's good to get hit in the nose like we did at Oregon, because Oregon's a good team, and I think we obviously learned some lessons, because the Penn State one was tough, and we came back and got that one done. And there's so much more work to do. We're going to have to find out, starting with the game.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so our senior year, we lost one game versus Wisconsin. We're able to take care of everybody else. I'm curious. Outside of the national championship team at Ohio State, which year, from your perspective, which year was your best team?
Oh man, I'm not getting it. Come on, come on.
He didn't send me that question beforehand, Trey.
No, come on. I'm not going to answer that question, because one thing you guys know, how many years were you there? 4 or 5?
5.
5.
So all 5 of the teams you were on were different.
Yep.
I mean, they were all different. They had a different personality. They had a different locker room. People ask me all the time, which teams were similar? None. I mean, they just weren't. And that's what you loved about it. It was like there was nothing boring. There was nothing boring about it. And just like your own children, you're going to say, which one's your favorite child? I'm not going to say. There's no way.
It's different. They're all different, Coach.
No, that's right.
They're all different. I love them dearly.
Right?
That's a good answer. Good answer.
Good answer. Yeah, I don't know. Should put that one out of thin air, man. Because I wanted to hit on the playoffs. Rewinding. We lose one game. Due to that, we don't make it to the national championship game. That's Cam Newton's season. They won a national championship. I forgot who they played.
Oregon, I believe.
Oregon. Played Oregon and won a national championship. And obviously, due to that one loss, which it was a road loss at night against Wisconsin. Again, you tried to get us ready for all season. We still didn't get the job done.
We still thought we was better than everybody.
Right. We still thought we was better than everybody. We didn't get the job done going to Wisconsin that evening. But things have changed now. Now, if it was a playoff system, we still most likely would have got into the playoffs and gave ourselves an opportunity to still be national champions. I guess, what's your thoughts on that? I got an opinion on it, but obviously I like the playoffs. But what's your thoughts on the playoffs and obviously being much different from back when our days at Ohio State?
Well, it was interesting. When we first came to Ohio State, I had just come from a playoff world because I was in 1AA, now FCS. And that's all we thought about was all we got to do is get to the playoffs. And so it was all about getting better by November and just getting good enough to get in the playoffs. And then, we won the national championship from the number 9 rank, from the 8 rank, from the 6 rank, and lost it from the 1 rank. And so my mindset was always getting better by November, which helped in the Michigan game because all we talked about was we got to be good by then. I think this is going to be a lot of fun for the folks, and it is going to give people more opportunities who maybe lost a tough one early, or maybe 2. There's going to be a couple teams get in with 2 losses, right, but they may end up being the best team in the country. And to me, that's what football is all about: is who's the best at the end, and not who had Sometimes it's an easier schedule gets you in there, So I think it's going to be a fun thing. Now, I would say this to you. I'm not sure I would have 12 regular season games.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Because especially at this level of football, let's face it, there's a lot of guys at this level, especially the teams that make the playoffs, that are going to be playing at the next level. And so if you add, in my mind, too many games, you're taking away a little bit of the tread off their tires for their future. Right. So perfect world for me. Now, I'm not the AD at Ohio State who needs all that money, but perfect world for me would be 10 regular season, and let's put 24 in the playoffs. Then you could really find out, who can play. Yeah, but I think the people are going to have fun with it.
Yeah, that's for sure.
One of your old teammates was Marcus, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. I told Marcus 2 years ago when he first got to Notre Dame, I said, hey, the biggest blessing you're going to have is this 12-team playoff, because it's hard when you're an independent schedule to get in the top 2 or 4 because no one's rooting for you. None of those conference commissioners, no one's going to pull for you. But when there's 12 teams, and I think pretty soon 16, I said, there's going to be your way. So now what Marcus has got to do is that this USC game, he's got this rivalry weekend, is going to mean the world. And maybe he'll have a chance to be in the playoffs. Who knows? Maybe we'll play him.
Yeah. That would definitely be exciting. Last time we played him was a good one, right?
Yeah, it was a good game. Really, both games, we played them twice since Marcus has been there.
Yeah.
And the first one, I think we won 21-10 or something. But the last one was a tight one.
Yeah, that's right. Right. That first one, they forgot how to play offense. They didn't figure out offense till later in the season.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with the expansion of the playoffs in so many games. And I didn't I didn't want the 12-team playoff for that specific reason. Is I didn't want to continue to stack games because we already know they start with a 12-team playoff. It's going to be an expanded playoff. We see what happened in March Madness. It's going to keep getting bigger and bigger. So for me,
look, the NFL's going to 18 now, right?
Yeah.
Games.
Yes.
Yeah. Long season.
Long season.
That's hard on those bodies.
And there's still school and everything else. Like that's still a part of this equation,
right?
As well. Although the players are getting paid for the football part.
Yep.
Still got to go to class.
Yeah,
right? They still go to class, right?
Yeah, they still go to class. They got to be eligible. They still got.
So much of it's online now, though.
Yeah. Which
is probably
you
worse.
think it'll probably start shifting back as well, right?
You guys would miss Coach Mansfield and Coach Knatzer and all them checking your classes. If you went online, you would miss my academic encouragers.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I didn't have a lot of classes checked. Only if I had class with I'm not gonna call guys out. Well, only if I had classes with certain guys. In my freshman year,
you was a good student, right? You was a good student.
But year two, I got used to not having my classes checked until a bunch of us had class together, and then I'm like, man, I gotta make sure I'm on time in class.
That's right.
But so we talked about this team, losing the last few years. I guess what would be, not to the coach, but what would you say to the team, the guys who had came back for their last year, who haven't experienced a win versus Michigan? Like, what would be, I guess, your pep talk to them to get them prepared for this game?
I probably would stay away from the pep talks because, emotionally, they are dying to beat that team.
Yeah.
But I would talk to them a lot about, okay, you have to do it a play at a time. If you get all crazy-eyed about wanting to win the game and play hard, you can play hard but not play well.
Right.
And so I would think with this team, as hungry as they are, it's going to be important just to keep their focus on the task at hand and figure you've got the right kind of guys that there is no way they want that feeling in their stadium. A lot of there's got to be 10, 15 guys that they're playing their last game at Ohio State. They are not going to, the emotional part is the least of your worries. Focusing on the right things is what I would put front and center.
Well, Coach, we appreciate it. Obviously, we're getting ready for the game. We're hyped up.
Yep.
Obviously, we all will be watching. I don't know. Are you going? I'm not going. I'll be watching from home.
You know what? I haven't gone to this game. I don't think. Now, we might have had a reunion game. No, I don't think so. I'm not sure I've been to this game.
Okay.
But I told Coach Day, I said, you know what? I got to be at this game this time. So I've been getting to practice about every other week just to get a
make sure
temperature on them, and just to make sure. But
they get nervous watching it.
I
get nervous. Yeah,
I don't get nervous as much as I get like, oh, I can't believe it.
Yeah, but I'm locked in. That's why I like to watch it at home. I
do
lock
too.
In on this.
Yeah, no, I'd rather watch it at home, but I promised Coach Day that when I told him, I said I'm going to come to your first game and your last game. Regular season. Mm-hmm. And I'll come to practice in between and see how we're progressing. And you would like his team. They're quality people, quality kids. I hated to lose that center though. Ooh.
Oh yeah, that was tough. Yeah,
because he was really getting better and becoming a really good player and a good leader. But they've got quality kids and now you just got to hope that the focus is on each play at a time, and because we're capable for sure of winning that game.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. Because like I said, we appreciate it. Obviously, you'll be there, so you'll bring that good luck charm to kind of get things going back in the right direction, and you could kind of close that loop, and Coach Day could kind of go on and understand how to win that game, and we could go ahead and continue our success against that team up north. We appreciate your time. You stepping in with us here on Michigan Week. And as always, we love you, and we'll talk with you soon.
Well, I love you and appreciate what you guys are doing with some of that tech innovation ideas that you have going on, and looking out for the future generations of Buckeyes and helping kids grow. So you if you can count on your former players to do good things with your current players, life is good. So thanks for doing that.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that.
All right, man.
We got to finish
All right,
up with,
love you.
with
See
a
ya.
OH.
Hold on, wait.
OH.
You messed it up, man. You're butchering it, man.
Well,
But you wanted me to do IO.
Yeah. He kind of rushed it, man. It didn't have a nice rhythm and tone to it like it usually goes.
We know it. It's in our hearts. It's in our hearts.
You know I
You
got
sing
no
the fight
rhythm.
song?
You know I got no rhythm. All righty.
All right, Coach.
See y'all.
Bye.